In the previous section, we covered the planning and preparations phase. So now we go on to the second phase of the campaign, which is the implementation and the monitoring phase. This also has several subsections, which I'm going to cover shortly. So within the implementation and monitoring phase, we have training and building capacity to run a successful campaign. Within a defined timeline or the Gantt chart of the campaign build-up activities, there should be a cascade of training of the identified management levels where campaign managers, readiness and quality supervisors, vaccinators and volunteers are trained in a cascade way to ensure adequate knowledge about the campaign, operating principles, and problem solving. These trainings should cascade-wise be less and less complex, visually concentrating on the practical essentials, defined responsibilities, call chain management, problem identification, problem solving, problem referral. That is, there could be a problem which a lower level cannot solve, then it must refer it to the higher level for a solution. Reporting requirements and the actual reporting forms. It would be useless for all the work to be done, not documented and reported to the higher level. And so the standard reporting forms are used in mass campaigns to document what has been achieved. The other element is adverse event monitoring as well as vaccination waste management. In a campaign which is using injectable needles and syringes, it would be absolutely unacceptable if injection material is left around to do harm in the community because of unsafe injections. Such trainings are incomplete without actual simulation exercises and readiness assessment using short standardized checklists as the one I illustrate here. The next section, so subsection of the implementation and monitoring, is vaccine distribution and logistics. Just second to communication, which we covered in the previous section, to promote community uptake, effective distribution and logistics are the backbones of an immunization campaign. Here, one should work to ensure that vaccines and supplies are distributed to all vaccination levels and eventually to the vaccination sites, and to establish a resupply mechanism in case of run out. For injectable vaccines, the logistics plan should include, as we said previously, identified mechanism for the safe collection of the injection waste and its disposal to avoid creating potential harm in the communities. The other element is assess cold chain and freezing capacity of the ice packs to assure that the vaccines which need a cold environment, fridges and cold and ice packs and the vaccine carriers, there are enough and there's enough turnover of ice packs daily over the course of the campaign in order to make sure that the vaccines that arrive and are given in each arm or by mouth are actually safe and efficacious. The next element is to establish mobile teams to cover remote or underserved areas, as these are the primary essence of the campaign, i.e., places that had not been vaccinated before. Underserved areas may not always be the remote places out there in the mountains or on the islands, but may rather be informal settlements of marginalized community just across in a slum area. The next is vaccination activities. Based on the microplans which we covered in the previous section, in section 1, there should be a clearly defined vaccination strategy to say this village or this community will be covered by a fixed post, whereas this is too far away and it will be covered by a temporary outreach which can be placed in a school or in a church or in a mosque. as an outreach site. Or some campaigns run door-to-door outreach to make sure that they cover all the settlements. Generally, experts don't encourage injectable vaccines to go door to door, whereas vaccines like oral polio vaccine can easily be taken door to door in vaccination mass campaigns. At local level, vaccination teams should be assisted to organize a session plan and layout that ensures smooth and logical flow of the effective crowd control. Poorly structured or managed immunization posts are faced with large, impatient or surging population in a short time, and this is counterproductive and could actually be a security risk where people actually end up maybe fighting each other. Often, immunization campaigns will take place during periods of conflict and or areas with long-standing insecurity. Not covering the target in such areas will only create pockets of disease outbreaks. Working in such areas is a long topic by itself, which I cannot cover here. Suffice it to say that campaign managers should collaborate with local authorities and possibly negotiate periods of tranquility to ensure safe access in such conflict areas. We have done that in places like Somalia, in Africa, or even in Afghanistan, where we negotiate days of tranquility in order to vaccinate children. Next item is real-time monitoring. In this context, real-time monitoring means the day-to-day active ongoing review as to whether the campaign is on track to achieve the objectives. To encourage health workers and volunteers who often are working at the edge of exhaustion in a campaign, and to do troubleshooting. That is, instill corrective actions. Ideally, there should be one team supervisor for every 5 teams and one higher level senior supervisor for every 5 team supervisors, a kind of a hierarchical structure for ensuring that the campaign is on track and to do any problem solving. With the regular site visits, phone-in, and daily review meetings at the end of the day, campaign supervisors must touch base with each of their charges at least twice a day to support, encourage, or resupply and address challenges that always emerge in all campaigns. The tools available to supervisors include, it could be use of smartphones, mobile applications, dashboards, phone-in to track progress, monitor logistics, and daily attainment of the vaccination targets. Another element is the use of rapid convenience monitoring, popularly known, abbreviated as RCM. RCM should be used in known hard-to-reach areas to check that the campaign has indeed vaccinated in such areas. Troubleshooting. The subject of RCM is in itself broad. Details can be found elsewhere, and I will attach some aspects of details on rapid convenience monitoring or RCM. At the end of each day, despite the exhaustion of campaign managers and the vaccinators and volunteers, it would be ideal to have a short, structured daily review meeting to see if things are going well and to see if there are problems to be solved, like checking the chain of daily reporting of achievements to the next high level. In order to avoid forgetting to collect key information, short to the point standard checklists, as I illustrate here, should be developed to gather a combination of both quantitative and qualitative aspects of the campaign. This is illustrated in the example here. The next element is adverse events monitoring and response. Mass campaigns are perforce give large injections or vaccine administration, sometimes in millions of doses, in a relatively short time. Immunization campaigns are often faced with either real adverse events or coincidental body reactions that always need to be managed and fully investigated. Ideally, a vaccinee or a child should stay and be observed for at least 30 minutes after the administration of the vaccine. This is to see if there is any reaction or not, and in order to manage it. In addition to questions of assuring injection safe practices, this is one reason why injectable vaccines should never be administered through house-to-house strategy. Each campaign must establish a system to detect and to respond to any adverse events following immunization, or sometimes what we abbreviate as AEFIs, based on the country's expert guidance. Ideally, each vaccination team should be equipped with a kit and know-how to provide immediate care for frequently observed reactions. On the other hand, campaign managers must be ready and have effective local and media capacity to address any false public rumors that may emerge, and concerns as these have the potential to undermine the goals of an immunization campaign. As regards the response to adverse events following immunization, ideally every country should have a standing expert committee to actually go through the reported AEFIs and evaluate such reported AEFIs, as well as compensation mechanisms for either borderline, not clear whether it is due to vaccination, or actually deserving complaints from the community of adverse events that might have taken place.